Well, this is the Bentley Bentayga. It's the world's fastest SUV. Well, at least it used to be until the Lamborghini Urus showed up. But this is still the world's most luxurious SUV and by a long margin. We'll get to why in a minute. But first, the styling. Now, we know it's polarizing for some, but it's definitely in your face. And though this color is a little demure on this car, we think there are a lot of details that stand out and really give it the Bentley edge. Let's check out the details.
Despite some design elements borrowed from the Continental GT Coupe, there's no mistaking the Bentayga's size. Given that the parent company is the VW Group, it's based on the same platform as the Audi Q7. To give a reference, clever surfacing adds to the dynamics of the design, and the massive 21-inch wheels give it the perfect body-to-wheel ratio. It is substantial though, and definitely looks better in person. The car we were driving had the optional black pack applied, which makes the Bentayga infinitely more appealing. More so, specific details like the Bentley wing vents on the flanks are really well executed. Climb onto the step sills that retract as soon as you reach for the handle, and you're greeted by a cabin that carries forward the Bentley wings theme. The entire layout is symmetrical around the white central stack. Knurling on knobs and switches lends most control incredibly tactile feel, though some switchgear is clearly borrowed from the parent company VW's parts bin, like the stalks and rear view mirror controls. Though it does little to take away from the feel of being in something very, very special. The cabin can be spec'd in a choice of 15 hides and 7 different wood veneers for the trim. Leather is everywhere you can see and touch, so understandably the feel is plush, aided by unreal NVH levels. There simply is nothing else that comes close to the level of craftsmanship and personalization offered by the Mulliner department at Bentley headquarters in Crewe. For example, wood veneer is painstakingly aligned so the grain lines up.
Well, I guess this is what being uber rich must feel like. The backseat of the Bentayga is super corseting, and that's because these seats are exactly the same as the front. Now, this is an option, the 4-seat, but when it's infinitely weight powered, heated, ventilated, and massaged just like the front seats, no one's complaining. You can just lean back and enjoy the drive.
The Bentayga is also available as a 5 or even 7-seater. The latter eats the boot space, understandably. Though we don't think cargo space is very high on the priority list of a Bentley customer. Instead, the event seat can be spec'd, which gives you a friend and a handy tailgating spot complete with mood lighting. Coming to the 6-litre elephant in the room, the 12 cylinders of the engine are in a W configuration, which can be thought of a 2 V6s on a common crank. The benefit is that it's a smaller package than a long V12, but at 5,950 cc, it's still packing huge displacement for the effortless speed Bentley is known for.
Boy, oh boy, this W12 engine really does impress. From the time you thumb the starter button. Now, this model has the optional sports exhaust fitted, and we're told the regular one is a little quieter. This actually gets a little shouty, but we're not complaining. It's a very good sound. We're driving the car in Bentley mode, and that's Bentley speak for Bentley chauffeur. Well, the car's computers decide what's best for the driving situation, whether you're going over speed breakers like we just did, or whether you plan on driving a little enthusiastically. The car sets up all systems exactly for that. So steering, brake response, throttle response, and the way the suspension is set up, it's all taken care of. No sweat off your bro.
Bentayga W12 comes with air suspension as standard, and while the ride isn't super soft, it isn't harsh either, especially when seated at the rear. It takes care of the smaller bumps very well, but more extreme road conditions do filter through, with the softer comfort mode doing a perceptibly better job at smoothing out bumps than the adaptive Bentley mode. We didn't get a chance to check out the off-road modes, but the sports mode was surprising. Body control is extremely good, with the SUV staying relatively flat thanks to active anti-roll bars that stiffen up to counter roll. The steering is light and direct, but still not feelsome enough to warrant pushing this 2.4-ton car to its limits, though the engine certainly asks for some action.
So Bentley claims a 0 to 100 kmph time of just 4.1 seconds, and that's in a thing that weighs 2.6 tons. But that's not the figure that made this the world's fastest SUV. Its top speed is 301 kilometers per hour. And we haven't had the space to test that out, but the 0 to 100 run was fun for sure. I mean, it's quite unbelievable the way this thing hustles. Power delivery is very, very linear. You get that max torque figure of 900 Newton meters from 1350 RPM. Let that sink in for a second. 1350 RPM. In a regular car, in a manual car, for example, you would be slipping the clutch to get over something like a speed breaker at 1350 RPM. But in the Bentayga, max torque. So it actually makes driving it a very, very comfortable experience. You just have to graze the throttle and you're on your way. We actually experienced this a couple of times where maybe at about half throttle, and we looked down at the speedo and we realized what speeds we were doing, and yeah, we slowed down. We slowed down.
Overall, there's so much more to the Bentayga. Owning a Bentley makes you a part of an exclusive club with exclusive benefits, including complimentary access to Bentleys when you're on vacation abroad. With all that in mind, sure, the Bentayga is a huge amount of money, but we definitely put our money on it being the best luxury SUV you can buy right now. After all, it taps a gold mine of a market, and there's a good reason it's one of the best-selling Bentleys in the country.